Chappy coming at you here live from Brisket Friday. All right, it's good out there, folks. Beautiful day, and it's so good to see you and be here with you this morning. All right, folks, I'm going to talk a little bit of story from Iraq. Good place to start, right? All right, so in the longest cavalry charge in the known history, we moved basically from Kuwait all the way to Baghdad. The squadron leading the way the whole time. Many times, obviously, that movement was at night. And there were a few times when you had the headlights on blasting. You could see where you were going. But several of the incidents and movements, especially once we had hit contact, involved a blackout drive. So all the vehicles go dark. There's actually a little kind of light up front that shines straight down and gives you just enough illumination for your night vision goggles to pick up. So basically, when you get your night vision goggles up, you can see everything that's going on around you with that eerie green glow. And but a lot of times, even in with night vision on and in blackout drive, you would run into situations where, like, if there's a lot of dust blowing or just environmental effects around you, it was hard to really see where you were going and tell what was going on around you. Well, the medic track, which I was following, had taped a little box onto their antenna whip. And during the day and even during night, you really couldn't tell what it was. It was just this little box, black box. And what it was an IR flasher, so it emitted an IR pulse. And basically, just looking at it even at night, you really couldn't tell, couldn't see anything. But when you put those NVGs up, you could see this distinct just bright flash of infrared light. And the cool thing is when you were in a night vision situation, especially when we hit contact and there was dust and smoke blowing and there was like fire that was illuminating over to the side, I always knew where to go because I would just kind of look up and I would see the flash. And I said, all right, that's where we go. Follow the flash, follow the flash. So something very good to keep your eye on, especially in those blackout combat situations. And it got us to the destination and got us through the fight, which was awesome. So just a little tidbit out there, just in case you're wondering, a little story from Iraq there. Now, the subject for today's little talk was kind of motivated from I'm involved with a site called Combat Crawlers. It's a Jeep group, and granted, a lot of our stuff is done on Facebook, but it basically is a group of veterans that like to Jeep and get out there and just do stuff out on the road, on the trail with our Jeeps, and offer to one another encouragement, pump people up, and just be there, camaraderie, so the standard group stuff. So, but on the site, a guy was kind of telling his story, and he was going through a hard time dealing with the VA, obviously, and some issues from combat and stuff, PTSD, health issues. And the guys were just encouraging him, and they were actually encouraging him to just continue what he was doing as far as with his Jeep, his rig. Keep fixing it up, keep going out, keep seeking other brothers and go out with them because it brought him peace. And we all realized, hey, your peace is right here when you go out and do this. And we just encouraged him, keep your eyes on that, keep your eyes on that. Of course, there were some like me and a few others who were like, and also get involved with church, focus on your faith, keep your eyes focused on God. So when it all comes down to this on the spiritual side, folks, I've talked many times about, in life we go through storms, and in life we also go through stagnant times, all right? And these are, many times these things in life are represented by troubles in our workplace or just anxiety, discontent, just something going on in your life that is causing you some internal friction. And it happens to all of us, folks. It doesn't matter where you're at. Everybody in their life will go through a storm. Everybody in their life will go through kind of a stagnant part. A few weeks ago at church, the scripture passage was the story about Christ walking on the water. And at first, a lot of people are like, whoa, the message there, Jesus walked on the water. And a lot of ministers will focus on, Yeah, it's all about Jesus walking on the water. But folks, that's not even part. He was God. Of course he's going to walk on the water, folks. I mean, it's not something out of the ordinary for God to do, okay? So basically that was not the point of the story. The point of the story, and I'm going to do a quick synopsis of it here. It's from Matthew 14. And starting in verse 22 is Jesus walks on the water. And what had happened is he just finished a really good teaching session. He had fed the 5,000 with the few loaves of fish and bread. And he went up on the mountain to rest, and he sent his disciples ahead on the sea there. I said, hey, you guys go to the other side. I'll catch up with you later. Well, his praying and his getting refocused took quite a while. So nighttime falls, and he looks out over the lake, and they're kind of like halfway across the lake, not really making much progress because the wind had come up, and there was a little storm going on there, and the boat's kind of being tossed around a little bit, not making any headway. So Jesus is like, well, I'll just head out there. And as he's approaching the boat, first of all, they're scared. I mean, come on, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, someone's walking on the water towards you. I'd be a little like, what is that? And so they were scared at first, thought it was a ghost. Of course, Peter calls out, Lord, is it you? All right. And Jesus calls out to them, take heart, it is I, do not be afraid. All right, so here's where we get into the meat of this passage and kind of what's going to speak to us today, folks. All right, I'm going to read this now. And Peter answered him, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. He said, come. So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, O you of little faith, why did you doubt? And then he got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. So here we have a situation, folks. The disciples are in this boat. It's not going anywhere. It's being tossed back and forth, and Jesus is right out there. And Peter, who actually in this case was not a person of little faith, actually had the most faith, because he understood that to solve this problem here, to not be sitting there going nowhere, to not be being tossed around by the wind, all he had to do was get out of the boat. Well, now getting out of the boat here, there's water all around you, but Jesus is right there walking on the water. And as you see, he gets out of the boat and he starts moving towards Jesus. Oh, the storm's still going on around him. He's walking on water. As long as he was keeping his eyes focused on Christ, everything was fine. Everything was fine. It's when he looked for a second at the water, goes, oh, good Lord, what am I doing here? This isn't right. Meaning, humans don't walk on water. Is when he began to sink. But the beautiful thing is, we just don't leave the story there. He just doesn't sink and then they, oh, well, poor Peter. No. Christ reached down, pulled him up. And then they got in the boat and the peace came. That's a phenomenal story for how God works in our lives. Folks, we are going to find ourselves, more than once, tossed by the waves of the world, tossed by the cares and worries and just the things in life. We're going to be tossed. We're going to be in a storm. It's going to feel like that, all right? And there are times when we've just got to say, you know what? I got to move on here. I got to get out of this boat. Now, you can get out of the boat, but most cases, if you do it without keeping your eyes on God, obviously you're going to sink. So it's critical here that that when we're being tossed to and fro, we call out for God. He says, come, that we keep our eyes on him, get out of the boat and move towards him. But we've got some ministry things coming up, ministry changes coming up in my ministry. And it's not bad. I mean, we're still doing Walk Like Lions. We're still doing our church. But there's been some ministry opportunities that have come up, and they're really cool. And it's going to be an awesome ride. We've also got on the back burner Pathfinder Ministries. So to us, to my family and me, there's a little bit of a storm going on, kind of on what's going on, more of a stagnation. And we've decided that, well, let's follow the example in the Word here. Let's keep our eyes on Jesus. Let's get out of the boat and see where this takes us. So it's exciting things to come, folks. I hope this touched you today. I hope it speaks to you in some way. Folks, the good Lord loves us. He's got his arms around us, and when we need him the most, he reaches down and pulls us up, and we keep going in life, and he's there with us. So I want to encourage you today, be strong, and don't forget, do this every day. Walk like lions. And hey, everybody out there, good to see you watching.